Now let's check in on the day's markets with Evan Lucas from InvestSMART. Evan, thank you for your time. Now we do know it is that time of year, earnings season numbers. How is the market looking?
You're right, it is earnings season. Today is probably the lowest day in terms of actual numbers for the year, and that's kind of interesting because this week is actually the busiest week in earnings season. I think what you need to look at though is what has been coming out, particularly around future expectations from most of these companies. The numbers so far have been pretty good. Everybody talks about what happened with CBA last week. If you look at CSL, they're in different kettles of fish to where we're currently looking this week, and why I answer the question that way. You can see that there is going to be headwinds at the back half of this year around either the coronavirus, the bushfire season, or the overall effects that are currently happening in the global economy. And the only one to really look at today is QBE. QBE is interesting from the point of view that they were going along reasonably well until October came along. So they actually released their full year numbers today. They had to actually trim down their dividend, and they have to book a much higher cost for actual premium outpays from issues in the US. They had a very, very wet season in the areas of the US that they actually work, and then the very, very start of the bushfire season. They haven't given guidance for the start of this year, and that's also interesting. All of the bushfire sort of insurance sort of events will have happened between the end of January and where we are today. So we still don't have a full figurative number about where QBE is at, but they are clearly talking about the fact they saw an increase of almost $200 million US dollars increase in the amount of cost that they had to actually absorb. And they are very much talking about the idea that they are now looking at unusual weather events as the norm, and having to go forward and actually ensure around the idea that unusual is now the norm, and how that will actually therefore translate into their business going forward.
Usually means they find a way to get out of it, doesn't it? And Evan Lucas, the rest of the week we're looking at some pretty interesting resources movements with BHP and Fortescue, and we're going to get a better picture of what kind of impact iron ore prices have had. Yeah,
everyone's expecting an absolute bumper result from both of them. The share price reflects that. If you look at basically the one thing about BHP, everybody knows where they're at because they give you quarterly updates. They are the most watched stock in Australia. They have over 30 analysts, and it's very, very clear where they're going to end up. And it's going to be a bumper number. There's no doubt about that. Iron ore prices were almost $30 US above where basically everybody expected it to be all the way through calendar year 19. So that's where it is. Fortescue also had that. The reason you need to also highlight that, Fortescue is the one to really watch here. They will have a very, very good understanding about what has happened in the last 3 months around the coronavirus. They are 96% leveraged to China. 96% of their exports go there. And with that in mind, you therefore will understand the kind of stop that has happened from Hebei province, what has happened with around the movement of people in China, and therefore also the demand for steel. And there has already been signs that the steel demand has obviously collapsed, considering it's basically put in a stop number. The question that everybody's asking is how far Xi Jinping actually accelerates back in to cover the issue around this. And we're already hearing wording and language from him, and you could actually see a real bumper bubble movement in a period of time, second quarter of the year, where normally China goes to sleep. So Fortescue is actually very interesting from that perspective because it gives us an understanding also around our exports, 37% go to China, and what that might actually mean from a government perspective as well.
One of the interesting things I've been seeing is still reports of a lot of pollution around China, which means something's still running, but I'm sure there'll be further analysis on that. Yeah, absolutely. Evan Lucas, as always, thank you for your time.
Thank you.